Alrighty. Back for another hour and a half to 2 hours of interesting conversation with my chat. I got something in my eye at some point yesterday, and I was pretty sure that yesterday it had finally worked its way out. I'm not actually so sure. I mean, I'm reasonably sure I managed to dig it out last night, but my eye has been irritated all day. Probably just on account of how much I was rubbing it yesterday, though. It really was um, uncomfortable. It was truly uncomfortable having that, whatever it was, piece of dust or whatever, stuck in my eye. But, like I said, I think we're a little more functional today. Hello, Flowers. Hello, Margot. Hello. Greetings and welcome. I got so much done today, and I have so little to show for it, but that's okay. I know that I did a lot, and that's what really matters. You need not the validation of other people, but merely the knowledge that you were productive, or that you met your goal, or that you did what you were supposed to do. After all, integrity is an internal process. We do have some crazy stuff in the news cycle, though. That'll be fun to talk about. As usual, I will try and save the news topics for once we've got 100 people or more in here. So make sure you hit that like button to start sending the stream out to more people. Helps me out a lot. But yeah, Trump's defying the Supreme Court. Sorry about that. You can repeat your platitudes all day long, Mystery. It's not going to change the fact that the medical community recognizes trans people as valid. You could tell you got bullied in school. What, just by looking at me? Surely you don't think I looked like this when I was in high school. Make sure you guys hit that like button as you're rolling in. It is 4 minutes into the stream, and we've got 88 people watching, which means if half of you guys hit that view button, or that, not the view button, the like button, if half of you guys did that right now, that'd be 44 likes instantaneously. You could do that for me by double tapping your screen or hitting the like button. All right, well, we've got 110 people in here, so that's enough people to get started. So these tariffs, right? These tariffs that Trump has just kind of been like slinging around willy-nilly for a year now. Well, the Supreme Court of the United States has finally gotten off of its royal ass and decided, all right, Trump, maybe you're going a bit far. Now, the reason why they're able to do this is because Trump's stated reason, or one of his stated reasons up until now for instating the tariffs, was to generate revenue. Now, generating revenue due to, like he's using it as a trade war. We all know this, right? But even his stated excuse is revenue related, and Congress, not the president, controls the power of the purse. However, Trump's pulling an Andrew Jackson on him. He came out not like 2 hours later and said, all right, well, since the Supreme Court's full of non-MAGAs and they don't want to see America get great again, we're going to do new tariffs, a 10% global tariff for national security. Because the one reason the president can get away with levying tariffs is over matters of national security. Now, of course, it's entirely likely, because the court's pretty much already suggested that it's going to challenge this. It's entirely likely that one of these companies, one of the many companies affected by these tariffs, nonetheless, is going to challenge this. That's going to get taken up the chain of command, I guess you'd say, get taken up the process until it gets to the Supreme Court, and we'll see that get shot down too, probably under the assumption that, just based on the fact that Trump did not appropriately justify the relevance to these, the relevance to national security that these tariffs pose. I know it may not seem like much, but this really is like a defining moment in the Trump presidency. Like, will he be able to do whatever he wants, regardless of what the Supreme Court says? And I mean, based on the business of the country as happened today, I would have to assume, like, yes, indeed, Trump is going to be allowed to just run roughshod over and do whatever the fuck he pleases. By the way, I want you guys to remember this next time there's a Democratic administration, right? Next time there's a Democrat in office and you get all these excuses about how the president can't do this, the president can't do that. Keep this in mind. Keep the Trump era in mind. Because there's two ways you can look at this. Seth, I think we can see the flag, son. I know, dude. People are way more obsessed with my flag than I am, and I'm the one who owns the fucking thing. We love Trump, an increasingly more embarrassing self-report by the day. It's getting very close to we love Bush territory. Like, you're starting, like, you guys literally, it's worse than that. It's literally on the level of like somebody going around screaming about how much they love Henry Kissinger or something. The object of your affections is an evil man who does not care about you or anyone else in the American working class. Did the COVID shots make you gay, bro? No, I was queer as fuck before I ever got a COVID shot. I think homophobic people are just bored because what do you mean you just don't like men kissing women or women kissing women? No. What they don't like is people being openly expressive. Now, the reason why they don't like that comes down to one of two things. Either, and it's projection of some kind, but either they are gay or trans themselves, or they are attracted to gay or trans people. So it's either like an attraction, like, and really it can only be one or the other, I guess, with trans people. With trans people, it's either a desire to be trans themselves, but a recognition that they can't be, or they're like super attracted to trans people and they want to get my attention desperately because of that, but they can't be caught dead doing it in a way that would be trans positive. For a lot of homophobes, though, it really is just their own locked up internal sexuality. Sexuality is not a personality? Well, I guess it's a good thing that I don't have anything about my sexuality in the title or like in the fucking, there's like a queer flag in the background, but there's a whole lot more there's a whole lot of other things in the background as well. It wasn't hurting so bad. It's not even hurting, it's just like inflamed and ugh. I'll tell you what, I have grown a little bored of like over discussing like the queer rights thing lately. So if you really want me to discuss it, you must send a super chat of $5 or more with your question attached. Otherwise, I'm sorry, not tonight. I'm interested in talking about the treasonous Trump administration. Hey, Brick Fam, putting everything in all caps is not actually going to get your message read any faster than anything else you could do. In fact, it's one of the quickest ways to make sure that I just fuck on you. Why the star? I just like it. I just think it's a cool symbol. That's literally as deep as it goes. Make sure you guys hit that like button, by the way. Is it for ball or fur ball, guys? What's up, Jay? Jay Monroe. What a nice name. You think Obama didn't commit treason? Yeah, no, I definitely do. 100%. Do I think it was quite on the same scale as this? Is that what you're asking? No. No. No, Obama never did anything to the fucking level of what Trump is doing. Like, fucking, like, even setting aside the tariffs, which have been ruled illegal by the Supreme Court, Trump using ICE as his personal little Gestapo army, going into specifically blue cities with, by the way, if you actually compare the rates of illegal immigration and the amount of undocumented people that live in these big cities to the overall amount of undocumented people living in like the rural South, or not really the rural South, but like I guess you'd consider it the rural. Like there's a weird distinction, right, between urban and rural, where it's like based on population figures, but other people look at it as like a geographic distinction where it's based on like the population density in a given area. So it depends on how you define it. But there's like tons and tons of undocumented people in Mississippi, Arkansas, Alabama, Georgia, but you haven't seen a preponderance of ICE in these states. Why? Because it's not about rounding up undocumented immigrants. It's about scaring people in blue cities. It's about destabilizing blue cities. It's about basically two things: election interference and propaganda. They want lots of really effective propaganda of them attacking lefties and people who are obviously Hispanic or Somalian or whatever. They want lots of really effective, bright, flashy fucking propaganda that they can flash throughout this year, the midterms, and the lead up to 2028. They also want to project an image of instability towards like their political opponents, which unfortunately for me, counts me as. It's kind of weird, right? Because like to be a political opponent of the Trump administration, all you really have to do is be anti-Trump. But to listen to MAGA about the opponents of the Trump administration, you would think that we're all like hardcore communists, when in reality, there's all kinds of people that are anti-Trump, from regular old neoconservatives to like hard leftists like myself. But I would say the vast majority of them are just like regular centrists, center right, center left. They're like regular Democrats and Republicans. You need to work at a metal foundry? No. No. I don't. That would be a dangerous environment for me to work in. I don't feel like I would be equipped for that. You sound normal, but that flag is evil. I mean, say what you will, but I personally cannot imagine being propagandized to such a high degree towards a fucking flag. It's literally some lines on a canvas. It's okay. You're not gonna die. Hi, I would give up on life if I was you. Man, that's really sad because I'm living a pretty fucking, I don't know, like enjoyable life. I don't know if I would like attribute many other positive attributes to it that are like more universal. It's like nobility is too subjective, um, but it's fulfilling. It's fulfilling to me. It's rewarding. It's interesting. Christians misinterpreting what Satanism actually is. Leave it to the fucking Christians, man. I'm trying to understand this gender stuff. Can a biological female be a trans woman? Possibly. See, I think that it really depends. I have heard an argument for there being a case for a cis woman who has been like for a cis woman who has gone through like consistent issues with her outward gender expression not being as widely recognized by society as she would like it to be, and therefore relating more to the struggles of trans women than she does to cis women. Under such a framework, I think the answer might be maybe. The answer might be maybe. I mean, certainly, I would say that when you think trans woman, you should think assigned male at birth person who transitioned to womanhood at some later point in life. But I could see the argument. There is no trans anymore. That's funny because I'm still here. I'm still right here. Ain't left. Ain't moved. Don't plan on going anywhere. What swayed you to embrace your current lifestyle? I think just like socializing with more people and like maturing enough to be like self confident to the point where I was like, okay, I can make it socially no matter what happens. Ultimately, I think it was just like growing up and continuously thinking about it and coming to a point eventually, probably through a combination of socialization and well, I'll say this much: about like a year before I came out as trans, is when I kind of like discovered the utility of cannabis for treating a lot of like the mood swings I go through and stuff like that, and its use as like hmm, like I want to call it like mental lubricant almost because it makes it a lot easier for not just me but lots of people, and I share the effect to like think deeply and have conversations that go on longer and explore more tangential topics and stuff like that. Kind of like alcohol, but I think with less like impulsiveness. And I think that probably a combination of being medicated, finding friends that were like cool no matter what, that were like not judgmental and shit. That probably did it a lot. Like I knew I was trans for years and years and avoided coming out, primarily because I was afraid that my friends and family wouldn't accept me. But eventually I came to a point where I had lots of friends that I knew would be accepting. And I had, pretty much accepted the fact that my family, the ones of them that I was afraid of losing, didn't much like me anyway. You sit around and think too much. You need to experience failure to such a degree it pains your existence, but then get back up and do it again until you get it right. Um, I don't know how much you know about my life, but I've experienced pretty profound failure within it. Hey, my friend, it's great to see you. Love the work. Keep it up. You're awesome. As a Trump supporter, I can't say I don't like LGBTQ. My girlfriend is bisexual, so I don't get why we separate these worlds. Because we separate these worlds because politicians stand to make a lot of money and consolidate a lot of power by having people like you and people like me at each other's throats instead of realizing that the people at the top are the real problem. The people who set your wage, destroy your benefits, keep your hours low, or overwork you. Those are the people really responsible for the oppression that goes on every day in our lives. But politicians, political pundits, even for the most part, don't really want you thinking about that. They don't want you concentrated on, they don't want your eyes on the bag. They want your eyes on, like, how many trans girls are competing in women's sports this year? Oh my God. you know? They don't want you to keep your eyes on the politicians and the money men who are fucking running out the back with fat stacks of cash. Why do people always blame the Jews? It's the oldest trick in the book. It really, I'm not even kidding. It literally is. In Western society, it is the oldest trick in the fucking book. Why do people blame the Jews? Because of an ancient fucking religious disagreement between Catholics and Jews. Literally. You want to know the reason why? Jews are hated on the world. Or by not by giant swaths of people, but like there is a lot of anti-Semitism in this world. You know what it's pretty much all on account of? An ancient fucking religious disagreement between Jewish people and Catholics. That's it. That's all that amounts to. Now, I'm not saying that means that they deserved it. No, like don't get me wrong. The statement I'm making here is that Western society pretty much used Jewish people from the moment they started to like integrate with Western European countries, with European countries in general, really. From the moment that started to happen, from the moment the Roman Catholic Church started to interact in an official capacity with um, Jewish people, um, like pretty much from that moment, there has been this like dichotomy that like the powers that had primacy there at that time set up and have used, by the way, to their advantage ever since. The truth of it is, the Jews do not control everything. The Jews are not responsible for all the bad things that happen to you. The Jews are not why Trump won, nor are they the reason why Joe Biden won in 2020. Okay? And people get so fucking stupid with it too, dude. Have you ever met a person like this that blames literally? It seems like they blame every fucking goddamn bad thing that happens on the damn Jews. a fucking like tree limb falls on their car at night while they're waiting, while they're sleeping. They get up the next day to go to work and they see the limb is crushed through their car window and they're like, goddamn Jews! They're grilling a steak one night and they pay attention to their phone a little bit too long on some advertisement or something. They go to open their grill and flip the steak and they find out they burned it. They shake their fucking phone and fist at the sky. Goddamn Jews! It's like, fucking Christ, dude. The Jews did not burn your steak. The Jews did not drop the limb off of your car onto your windshield. The Jews did not secret a plan to get into your house and freeze your pipes. Shut up. Shut the actual fuck up about the Jews. Nick Fuentes ruined an entire generation of young men. It's a bit in the sense that I'm exaggerating my mannerisms to be funny for you guys, but it's not a bit in the sense that I believe in what I'm saying. The Jews are not why your life sucks. You are probably why your life sucks, to be completely real with you. And that's despite all of the systemic disadvantages, okay? Let me just turn on some quick settings. This might make things a little bit better. Should stop most of the spammers anyway. I'm sorry. I know, it's hard to catch everybody. Remember, we do like a diverse array of opinions in here. I invite people to troll a little. I invite people to disagree. But your comment needs to add something to the conversation. And preferably, it'd be nice if it's not something I could see for fucking scrolling X for 30 seconds, okay? Don't even get mad at them. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Listen to the words of Christ. 10% worldwide tariff in direct and stark defiance of the Supreme Court. Yeah, this is not the win you think it is. You guys legitimately don't think you're ever going to lose another election? And that's scary because every political party worries that it's going to lose. Unless the election's rigged. Huh. But for some reason, the Republicans are acting like electoralism is not even a concern anymore. They are acting like their electability is not something that they need to worry about. Because if you guys were cognizant of the fact that it's something you need to worry about, if it was something you did worry about whatsoever, you would be recognizing this as the overstep of executive power that it is. You'd be recognizing this as a bad thing. You'd be recognizing this for the fucking supreme overstep, but you can't. Guess what, twin? Nobody asked. I don't know. Seems like 67 people are sitting around just waiting to hear what I have to say about all kinds of things. Take a day to consider your actions. I don't know, man. It seems pretty clear to me that this is like a massive overstep of executive power in direct defiance of the Supreme Court and in direct defiance, therefore, of the Constitution, because it was a constitutional matter that swayed the court's hand, as it usually is, as it's so often Supreme Court. Before Trump went into office, my rent was $800. Now it's $1,600 for the same apartment. Well, Trump has given the landlord class and the billionaire class in general pretty much free fucking reign. And it's, I guess it's not 100% confirmed, but it's like widely rumored that the level of the level of executive, like how do I put it? The level of capture of like local institutions by the executive branch is unprecedented in former administrations. So it would not be any shock to me that there are orders coming down to, like, if you're in, because like I would not be surprised if different like tenants rights boards and city councils and things like that, county authorities, these people could be getting paid or given political favor or just be flat out told, hey, don't you be ruling against landlords. Or another thing that has been widespread throughout the Trump administration is direct corruption through contributions or big spending to Trump properties, either big contributions to the Trump Foundation or whatever it is, or the campaign or the Republican Party, or big business expenditures at Mar-a-Lago and shit for personal favors from the president and political favors from the president. So I bet you there are probably thousands of landlords across America right now operating with basically impunity because they have in some way paid off the administration. My mortgage payment didn't go up. Well, like, the bank can't magically rewrite the terms of your mortgage. Trump hasn't given them quite that much power yet. But a landlord can pretty much, like landlords are already given, like, one of the reasons why this is able to be a problem in this particular environment, right, is because like landlords are already given like basically impunity in America. They are already given wide latitude to raise rents, to charge tenants for upkeep expenses, to fuck over their tenants, basically. And because of that, it's very easy for a Republican administration that really wants to enable landlords even further. And because Trump has been able to put so many people on the Supreme Court, there's a greater sense of there's a very distinct and developed sense of hubris, I think, developing in these southern states and deep red states, Trump-aligned states, because they know at this point that most likely, if somebody does challenge some shit, all of their bought and paid for courts in the state will probably rule, usually against them. They'll end up appealing, but even if they do end up appealing it all the way to the Supreme Court, they know that it's most likely that the Supreme Court in its current incarnation will probably side for most of their like crazy fascist policy ideas. This is why checks and balances are a good thing, actually. How do we feel about Biden pardoning for crimes that supposedly never happened? What will we talk about? I don't know. Like, if you're expecting me to defend Biden's record, I don't know why. I'm not a Democrat. I am just as critical of the Democrats as I am of the Republicans. In fact, I think I have even more I think I have even more well-developed criticisms of the Democratic Party because I'm a leftist. And so ostensibly, they're supposed to be the party that represents my interests, like politically, but in practice, the Democrats are a center-right party that represents the interests of the billionaire class, the bourgeoisie. Right, so why can you talk right now? Ooh, gotcha. You have some modicum of freedom of speech, therefore fascism not real. No, the truth is there are like a ton of different ways that fascism can happen. Not all of them look like Nazi Germany. Sorry to be the one to tell you. I, in fact, have stopped making the comparison of Trump to Hitler in general. I think he's a lot more like Mussolini. Mussolini, too, loved grandiose public gestures of like solidarity with the common person. Mussolini also liked saying like big braggadocious things, and even had a kind of similar cadence with the way they like append adjectives to things. There are way more, and not only that, but Mussolini embraced the power of the press and radio and mass media before the Nazis ever did. In fact, it was Mussolini's capture of these things that inspired the Nazi regime and Joseph Goebbels in particular to um, to invest so heavily in capturing that same media environment in Nazi Germany. Now, it's worth noting that it's way harder to enforce laws on speech these days because it's way easier for people to say things publicly than it ever has been before. If you wanted to enforce speech laws right now, no matter how fascist your country gets, you've got to rule with an iron fist, and you can only be so large. And you can only have so many people in your country. Pretty much everywhere this has been tried in a like really populous country that has internet access, it doesn't fucking work. People protest against it. People are like, there's some mass arrests and shit. But it's like the only you can either here's the only example I can think of is like Iran, right? Iran engages in that kind of mass censorship, but to do it, they have to commit human rights atrocities regularly, like just disappearing thousands of people off the streets. Like, who knows where they end up going to? Probably an Iranian black site where they're tortured to death for the fun and pleasure of the guards. The guards. So, I do not think that even if Trump wanted to, he could institute speech regulations like you saw in Mussolini's Italy or um, Nazi Germany. Thank God for the internet, right? Would it be better or worse if America liberated Iran? Worse. I mean, I hate to say it, but Iran is basically the only check on Israel's power and influence over the Middle East. They're like the one fucking country that they're like the one country that has weapons that dares to defy the United States, and I don't know that it's going to set a great fucking for world politics going forward and geopolitics going forward if the pretty much the last country to meaningfully stand up to us just falls to a giant massive invasion. I would like to see a world where America has to play nice, personally, because like I would like it if we would just play nice to begin with, but since we're clearly not going to do that, it's about time the world makes us play nice. And I unfortunately don't think our European allies are going to make us play nice. Iran wants to make us play nice, but they want to do it. Well, they don't want to make us play nice. Iran wants to make us play dirty in a different way. So it's just it's a fucked situation that all outcomes are shitty. Yeah, I feel fucking incredibly bad for Iranians. It's like legitimately horrible. Like, you guys don't even know. Iran has fallen apart. Iran is falling the actual fuck apart. So not only have they had massive protests over the last few months, a lot of people don't even know why those protests are happening, by the way. The protests, off the top of your head, does anybody know why the protests in Iran were popping off? Just the top of your head. Anybody know? Yeah, but what are their grievances with the government, Perseus? Every government is corrupt. It takes a certain type of corruption, ineptitude, and incompetence to make a people rise up. I'm not sure about what side of the. It's a combination of two things: recent human rights violations and historical human rights violations by the Iranian government, um, and water. Iran is basically dry as a bone. There has been massive water shortages all over Tehran. There have been massive water shortages all over the country. They are functionally running the fuck up out of water. And their government, I'm sorry, has been abusing the fuck out of them for the last 50 years. And it's gotten particularly brutal, or it's become particularly publicly notable over the last like 2 or 3. What I think has happened is that Iran has internet. Iran has internet and modern technology, and a lot of Iranian citizens have internet or some kind of access to it. Maybe not constant, but Iran is not Afghanistan. It's not um, a loosely knit collection of mountain villages that may have some Starlink if you're lucky. It's a fully developed fucking country with fully modern technology. And I think that a lot of Iranians are probably using I like it's no there's no doubt in my mind. In fact, it makes so much sense that I'm almost willing to say for sure that it's happening, but I'm not going to lie and say I've seen any source on this. But it makes complete sense to me that since cell phones have been a thing, Israel and the US have probably been smuggling tons of them into Iran with international roaming plans and satellite phones and remote hotspots and shit like that. I guarantee you. And I know because of the internet traffic reports that you can do that there is a lot of fucking internet traffic that comes out of Iran. I guarantee you that people are becoming more aware of how fucked up their society is and has been. Part of the reason why fascist regimes that are incredibly authoritarian like that are able to stick around is by controlling the flow of information. But I think it's become incredibly difficult. And this goes to the point I was making earlier about free speech and why it's so difficult to have any other kind of system, right? Like why it's so difficult to challenge that on the internet or anything like that is because it goes back to my point there, because like they, in my opinion, are going through these revolutions because they are finally aware of atrocities that have been happening for a long time, but that have gotten worse and that are becoming more public, that are becoming, you know, filmed and uploaded more often. I think the reality of what that country is and what their government does to them is becoming more starkly obvious to the people of Iran. I know someone in Iran who has used a VPN plus Tor to even use the internet normally. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. Lots of people use Tor in countries like that. It goes even deeper, like my friends write their own security scripts to contact. Yeah, no, 100%. There's an insane amount of underground work that goes on to connect everyday Iranians to the outside world in a meaningful way. But I think that, like the efforts of people like that and the ability that they have to talk to people around them is probably why Iran is rising up against atrocities that, I want to fucking reiterate to you guys, have been happening since the fucking revolution began. Since the 1979 Iranian Revolution, these atrocities against everyday people have gone on. They were accepted for a long time as a normal part of doing business, and they were also able to control the narrative for most of the fucking last 50 years, like I said. But as technology has become more prevalent, as services like Tor have popped up and become more widespread and accessible, as VPNs have become more predominant, accessible, there has been a real change. There's been a real shift in tides, because the Ayatollah can no longer control the narrative. Damn, I just want to reiterate, I do not want war with Iran. I think this is a situation that is fucked no matter what way you approach it. I just want to be honest about how I feel about the regime and shit. But this is none of this I say to justify war with Iran, okay? I just want to make that clear, because the more I talk, the more I realize I sound like fucking Donald Rumsfeld. I literally sound like a neoconservative or something, talking about, like, the virtue of the Iranian people and the crushing weight of their government, authoritarian and tyrannical, upon their necks. Do you think Israel should just start helping Iran? Like, would it get better? Here's the problem with that, right? There's a piece of context you're missing, and once again, I'm going to sound like fucking Paul Wolfowitz or Donald Rumsfeld or something, but I can't help it. Just because Dick Cheney was right once doesn't mean he's right about any other fucking thing. But no, but seriously, Iran is not looking to get along with Israel. Not because tensions are high, not because they're very angry, but because the people who run Iran right now have a fundamental, deeply, deeply held religious, like religio-political belief, because they're a theocracy, that Jews are fundamentally evil, and that not necessarily that Jews are fundamentally evil. I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at it, but like indisputably, that Israel is a fundamentally evil country, right? This is, of course, an abhorrent belief, but it is the belief of an Islamic fundamentalist of the variety that run Iran. And honestly, a few other countries as well, but most of them have managed to moderate over the years. Iran is not ran by moderates, and there's no chance of moderates getting anywhere close to the power structure either. What would you consider yourself politically? I would consider myself a market socialist in the near term and an anarcho syndicalist in the long term. I think that people can eventually learn how to live in self organized communities that administer their own form of self governance that is synchronous with communities around them. And we all work together on a global scale and a local scale to coordinate the needs of all humanity. I think that is possible, but I think that there's a lot of steps to getting there. And I think the first big seismic shift that we would see is to a system that I would call market socialism, where our basic needs are met, basic human needs are paid for, taken care of by taxes, but there's still a market for luxuries and comforts and things that you don't necessarily need just to live. Once again, religion is the root of the problem here. This is why I believe all religion should be dissolved. Religion is an illogical thought process driven by power-hungry grifters. I tend to agree, honestly. I think that, well, yeah, I feel like I have a little bit more nuanced opinion about it, though. I think that there is room for spirituality in the world. I think that there is room for people to be, you know, in awe. And I think there's room for people to come up with, like, magical explanations for things if they want to, if that helps them. I believe in versatility, but once you start legislating on the basis of it, once you start organizing into big groups that want to coordinate each other's behavior and act as a political unit, that, like, at that point, it would be one thing if what you're operating on is like some genuinely held conviction about some like axiomatic thing that is a moral determination for you, but you're not. Like, it's literally just fantastical bullshit. You back up a lot of the things you say whenever you're making, like, not you in particular, but whatever a religious person that wants to legislate on the basis of their religion makes their arguments, they back, it seems like they're making a faith claim, but they're making a fact-based claim. It's not that the claim is factual, but they're making a claim of fact. They're saying I that there's this fucking supreme authority in the world, and I have communion with him, and I can tell you how to live because I have the fucking inside line to what he wants out of all of us, which is something you should be able to substantiate if you're going to legislate on the basis of it. What are your thoughts on well drillers, water treatment guys? Why would I have anything against you guys? Is there some like lefty trope that we're all like opposed to well diggers and fucking water treatment people? Huh? Where'd that come from? Spirituality is illogical. It either is or it isn't. Schrodinger's cat is either dead or alive. Yeah, but the fact that it can be either is the compelling thing. You think Tupac is either in Antarctica or Epstein Island because we all know he's alive? Tupac is not alive. Tupac is dead as a hammer. Tupac's ashes are scattered on what is it, Long Beach? Something like that. Tupac was Shia Muslim? He was. He was indeed a Muslim. But that's okay with me. Like, I'm not as anti-religion as Perseus is. And me and Perseus have argued about this before, I think. You know what pigeon stands for? No. I see no changes. Wake up in the morning and I ask myself, is life worth living? Should I blast myself? Tired of being poor and even worse than black. My stomach hurts, so I'm looking for a purse to snatch. Cops give a damn about a Negro. Pull a trigger to the nigga, he's a hero. Selling crack to the kids, who the hell cares? One less hungry mouth full of welfare. First step, shipping dope, let them deal to brothers. Next step, step back, let them kill each other. Time to fight back, that's what Huey said. And then 2 shots to the dome, now Huey's dead. Sorry, distracted. What do you think about how New York City is being operated? Oh, you mean Mr. Socialist Man? Well, I think he's got a lot of great ideas, but the governor's going to have to work with him on this fucking. I think the people of New York City and the people of New York State need to be putting pressure on Kathy Hochul to work with fucking Mamdani on this wealth tax because, like, I'm sorry, like something has to happen. It's a good idea. It's an objectively good idea. You have to fucking redistribute a little bit of this wealth because right now it's just sitting, not doing anything except making the bank accounts of rich people look better. That doesn't help the economy. Like the meaningful economy is not helped by that. No, don't redistribute my wealth. We're coming for it. And you're from a region of the world that's well familiar with the tactics that I would love for us to use. Oh boy, do I have some good things to say about Mao and his relationship to the landlords. How am I going to afford another yacht? You'll find a couple more slaves to exploit. Of that, I am sure. I genuinely believe that the last capitalist on earth will have to be dragged, kicking and screaming, from their opulent office and direct control of their slaving workforce and like stripped naked and beaten with sticks to make them finally give up their privilege above other people. Don't worry, Perseus. We're gonna do the workers' revolution before you inherit your wealth. So you can join us. What about the whole state of Illinois? What do you mean? What about the whole state of Illinois? Do you agree the old LGBT flag is more pretty as a flag? Um, No, I like this flag. I mean, it just adds some colors to the old flag, really. Like how it's being ran. For some reason, I thought you were saying being Iran. No, okay, for how it's being ran. Um, well, I'll tell you this much: there's a really promising Illinois House candidate, I believe she is, named Kat Abigzadeh, running in one of, I believe it's one of Chicago's districts. And she looks really interesting. So it seems like there's some interesting political ideas coming out. Like, here's the thing: here's to me, like, the thing that has been missing the most out of the Democratic Party in the last 10 years has been vision. Like, what do you want to do? What does helping people look like? But Kat Abigzadeh is putting her money where her mouth is. She's doing like mutual aid through her campaign. She's like accepting campaign donations in the form of like mutual aid items to give to homeless people or people who are struggling with buying hygiene products and stuff like that. So like she is like putting her money where her mouth is and standing for ideas that I can get behind that actually represent some way to address critical problems like wealth inequality, income inequality, rising rents, unaffordability, and like the massive fucking upsurge of immigration agents that are just like doing highly illegal shit in blue cities for seemingly no reason other than to scare people. Because it's really not the most effective way to deport people. Like the most effective way to deport people for decades, just ask Obama, has been to go to workplaces, like the places where you know that there are undocumented immigrants working. It's cruel. It's just as cruel as this shit is from a certain direction, but it's not like the abject cruelty that people are being subjected to through these tactics, because these tactics just invite cruelty. Hey Phoebe, sorry I'm late. What's up with your voice? I've been sick for a while, and it's just been, it'll be a minute before it's back to its normal cadence. So that's not how you spell lobotomies. Lobotomies is spelled Lobol. No, no, I'm stupid. Lobotomies. 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 Not spelled lobotomies. Get well, I will try lobotomy. Lobsters and lobotomies and monopolies. This is my life. Welcome to it, Ariel. Welcome to it. Me. Lababoomy. Lababoomy. Lababoomies back 2026. Lababoomies. People are stupid. Um, People are stupid. Every move you make, every breath you take, every smile, every move you make, I'll be watching you. Oh, can't you see? Like, at this point, there's separate flag for gay men, so rainbows just for everyone. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think there's, like, much of a distinction. I just like this one because it's pretty, and it's the one I have. What country would you recommend living in if someone were to escape the U.S.? Good question. I don't know, man. I'll be real with you. I have no fucking idea. There is not a corner of the globe that is not touched by the American economy in some way. And the few corners of the globe that are relatively removed from it are corners of the globe that are not particularly friendly to Americans moving in. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess like if you're genuinely trying to escape the US to what is like our least like the countries we're least likely to go to direct war with, I would say France, Italy, Spain, like most of Western Europe is fine. Don't go to Iceland, don't go to Greenland. Definitely don't go to Greenland or Iceland. Both are under threat, in my opinion. Um, I would also say there are probably some countries. There are some post Soviet countries that you could look into, depending on the kind of person you are, the kind of like things you're okay with. Um, Probably want to stay away from them for the most part, though. But let's see here. Really racking my brain. Really racking my brain. I mean, we keep threatening to annex Canada. It feels like that's going to happen any day now, so I would not trust going to Canada to be anything but a wait button. Mexico, same thing. Mexico is like in a precarious political position as long as Trump and the Republicans remain in power. So I wouldn't recommend there. Um, it really is pretty much Western Europe or bust if you're trying to escape America. Well, I say France because, as far as I know, um, France is like one of our closest relatives besides like the UK. And the UK, I would not recommend as a replacement for living in America. But France, I would. France has way more than we do, and they do have some like speech protections and shit like that. And there's all kinds of weird shit that comes out of France. So yeah, you can get away with shit in France. Transnistria still thinks they are still the Soviet Union. Maybe they are on some level. Do you reckon Stalin, or not Stalin? I meant Putin. Sorry, I got my Russian autocrats mixed up. But do you think Putin um, fosters that attitude amongst the people who are in high positions of political power in like the post-Soviet states? Georgia is great, but immigrants changed a lot of things in it, and it's very invasive. Well, that is kind of just what happens with immigrants, though, right? I mean, that's just like the flow of human beings. That's just one of the things that happens. In my opinion, it's a good thing. It's like I'm not saying I'm right, but challenge yourself to think about why you value traditionalism in any sense. Now, I can think of a few good reasons why there's certain kinds of traditionalism I value, like historically important buildings, I think should be preserved and I think built around, right? I do think that it's important to preserve elements of your heritage for sure, but not at the expense of modernizing. Germany is good, but the political climate there is concerning recently, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, the political climate in Germany is pretty fucking. I don't know, man. It seems like this pattern is kind of emerging across the world as capitalism kind of like grinds to a slow but steady halt. There's People do not realize it. The fucking world economy hangs by a thread right now. There are like two or three industries propping it all up, and if they fall and collapse, which it seems like they're fucking bound to do if big developments don't happen, like we're in such a transitionary time right now, guys. I don't think you guys realize. It doesn't happen overnight, and so it's taking a while to really kick in, but I genuinely believe that America is going to look fucking fundamentally different, and a lot of the developed world might look fundamentally different in 5 years because either AI and automation are going to make good on the promises and the upselling and the hype, and they're going to start replacing jobs en masse, and they're going to have to figure out some way to deal with that problem, or it'll all fizzle out. People will realize all at once that there's no hope in any of that shit, that it's all bogus, and that it's not worth supporting, and there's going to be like runs on the bank and people fucking selling off massive amounts of stock. Stock prices are going to fucking plummet. All kinds of people are going to lose out on tons of value in their 401ks and shit like that. Economic disaster, basically. And that will probably incite some action along along economic lines, just like the recession in 2008 largely inspired Occupy Wall Street. I'm not against immigrating for a better life, but I condemn going to a more poor country with Western income and abusing the inequality of the world. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I wonder if there's a way to do it ethically. You come there with a Western income, but you come there with enough income to start like paying for improvements to the community that you live in or live near, but you like coordinate with them to see what like needs to happen. Like, hey, it would be really fucking awesome if somebody would pave this road up to this point and after this point. Pink fur with the 99 cents. That's the only thing we've made tonight. I haven't really pimped donations though, so that's probably why. What are your thoughts about 9/11 and everything that came out of that? I think that the jihadists shot us in the foot, and we proceeded to blow our own leg off. Like, the Middle East teased us a little bit, and in retribution for that, we decided to fucking blow ourselves up, basically. Aw, thank you, Pink Fur. What a fucking kind soul. Thank you, Pink Fur. What a sweetie. Thank you. I appreciate that a ton. But yeah, no. I don't think 9/11 was staged, but I do think that George Bush might have been paid off by the Saudis to allow it to happen because so Um, Osama bin Laden was a member of the super fucking rich and powerful Saudi bin Laden family. Um, they have ties to like the Saudi royals. They're incredibly fucking rich, and they had investments in a ton of the companies that would see their stock prices shoot up in the aftermath of 9/11. Not only that, but they would have known about the possibility of a terror attack like that going on because, like I said, we're talking about the Saudi bin Laden family here. And Osama bin Laden, architect of the 9/11 attacks, was kind of seen as like the crazy uncle in the family. It's almost certain they kept tabs on him. It's almost certain that they knew when those attacks were going to happen. It may be possible that we were warned about them directly. Holy shit, Ariel Ferraro, thank you for the 1790. I appreciate that. The 1790, I don't know what that is, but I love it. Thank you so much. You're cool as fuck. Thank you. I appreciate that a ton. Yes, there is, I guess. It just depends on how you act. Like, I wouldn't rent a cheap apartment in city center, preventing locals from having it. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, dude, if I was coming over there with a Western income, it would be to be able to live. Like, here's the thing. Why would you choose to live in a place where you could live like a king and give back to your, like, local community too? Like, just to be, like, financially rich, but living, like, a middle-class lifestyle. To me, but this just goes to show you I've got a very, like, poor person way of looking at money, personally, because to me, the whole reason for money personally, like, I realize this is not why money exists broadly, but the reason why I value money is in its usefulness for helping me do cool shit and live a cool life. Like, I do not get any fucking I derive zero pleasure from just knowing there's money in my account. Well, I guess I can't say I derive zero pleasure. I like knowing it's there because of the utility that it might serve. We were warned about an attack like that. We were warned about the planes operation. That is true. We were warned that Osama bin Laden wanted to fly planes into prominent buildings in the US, but George Bush did not do anything meaningful with this information. Bill Clinton didn't really do anything meaningful with it because I think it was actually delivered during the last moments of his administration, but I may be wrong. So it was just kind of like, whatever, ignored, which it's like, that's kind of weird. Osama bin Laden was not just some random terrorist. Osama bin Laden was the architect of the not just the 9/11 attacks, but the attacks on um, our embassy in Tunisia, I believe it was. He attacked, I believe it was a Tunisian. I keep wanting to say Tasmanian, but I feel like that's Australian. So I feel like it must have been Tunisian. But yeah, a Tunisian embassy was attacked in '98, I believe it was. And Osama bin Laden was the architect of that. And they had prosecuted him in absentia under the Riot Act back during that time. It was delivered in August of 2001. Oh, okay. So yeah, that was after Clinton. That was after Clinton. So yeah, Clinton couldn't have done anything about it. But Bush knew. He knew. Now, whether he decided not to do anything about that because he was worried about the political ramifications or what is really the thing we got to debate here, because that he knew is without question. He knew this was going to happen, or he knew that there was a very strong possibility that it could happen. He knew something like this was going to be attempted. Did he just think, well, The systems that surround me are built to keep things like that from happening, built to keep Americans safe. I don't really have to do anything about it. I don't really have to look into this all that deep. Or was he paid to pay no attention because the Saudi bin Laden group stood to profit massively? Would you be surprised if there's another crazy theory about 9/11? No. But I do think what me and Dave are talking about is the actual crazy batshit theory about 9/11 because it's the one that's actually true. Like, the implications of what me and Dave are talking about is fucking. It's like shit. It's shit that is as bad as what Trump is doing right now. Almost. If, yeah, it's like around that. Because we're maybe even worse, honestly. Like, we're talking about, like, he may have, like, there's enough evidence to convince at least a few people on a jury that, and I genuinely believe this if you put it before a court, that George Bush knew about the 9/11 attacks and chose not to do anything because he had a monetary incentive to do so. Let's not forget that the Saudi bin Laden group that was going to benefit massively financially in the wake of 9/11 also were the angel investors that kept George Bush Jr., sorry, his oil company, Prisma or whatever it was called, in Texas running. You think it was a sort of hero complex on his part? What? Not doing anything? No. Oh wait, do you think? Okay, are you asking if I think that George Bush allowed the attacks to happen because he wanted to be seen as a national hero? Because if so, nah. I mean, I don't know. I don't buy it. I think the financial incentive makes a lot more sense here. It's kind of been known for like 50 years now that being president can be a get rich quick scheme. And I think you might have been engaging in a little bit of that. What's up, 6 hour? Do you think it was part of? Okay. And all ties go to U.S. government too. Yeah. Well, that is another layer of the mystery behind 9/11. The reason why people can't shut up about it, including myself, because there's so many discrepancies, so many things that don't really make sense. What is happening? Yeah, I'm gonna get off here soon because I am rather tired. I took some cold medicine before I came on here, and it is kicking my ass right now. But man, I just hope I feel better tomorrow because it's been like a straight week of being sick as a dog, dude. It's fucking sick as fuck. Mm. They say that after the war it was. They say that after the war the Nazis vanished without a trace, but battalions of fascists still dream of a master race. The history books they tell of their defeat in '45. Damn. Yeah, my voice sounds like dog shit right now. Dog shit. Not to mention he had a Warhawk VP with a gun to his back that was the figurehead of the private military industrial complex, needing war to keep their economy humming. Yes, that's another financial incentive, right? Not just for him, but for Dick Cheney. And as far as the company I used to be the CEO of, I'm proud of the work that I did with Halliburton, and I'm proud of the work that Halliburton does with the U.S. Army. God, what a ghoul. Are you asking me if I'm ashamed to have been the CEO of one of America's most successful companies? Really did sound like just a fucking old money man with a monocle when he said that shit. Ever had that brain evaluated? Yep. I just got my DNA test. Turns out I'm 100% that bitch. Yeah, I am gonna have to get off here soon. I'm fucking so sleepy. I wish there was cough syrup vape. Jesus Christ. Getting fucking robo tripping off a vape. What a fucking what a world we live in, dude. There are so many better drugs than DXM. I don't like how I feel right now. I don't like the fact that I'm not able to talk to you guys as well as I normally can. I don't like the fact that I had to take that because I don't like. Here's the thing: I love me some drugs, but be critical, okay? Be critical. Now, hey, if DXM makes you feel great, then hey, more power to you. But for me, the reason why I'm critical of it and why I'm saying what I am is because for me, it just does not like. I feel like I can get this same kind of thing with weed if I just smoke enough of it, or with certain painkillers and shit like that, and not deal with the brain fog. But it's not gonna fucking clear up my cough. Now will it? Yeah, DXM is definitely not for every day. I mean, I really only do it whenever I have to fucking take some cold medicine for a cold, like an actual cold or like a flu or cold symptoms, whatever it is. Because it is just not a very fun drug for me. I like to feel down. I like to feel a little muted, but I like to remain cogent and coherent during that time. And I just don't really feel like, like I can necessarily be that when I'm on any kind of cold medicine. So you don't think mixing drugs and weed is not the issue? No, yeah, it's not. No, cold medicine does this to me whether I'm fucking sober at the time of taking or high. It doesn't make much of a difference. Can I see your medical degree? Bro, I don't have a medical degree. I didn't cite medical science, I cited my personal experience. Wee! No, I'm just tired. I really am just fucking sleepy. I woke up at 7 o'clock today, y'all. Be easy on me. Come on now. It's fucking like 2 in the morning. Even if I hadn't taken cold medicine, I'd be falling asleep on you guys. You guys, you don't have a high school diploma even? I've actually got a couple of college credits on top of my high school diploma. And one of those like VOTEC certificates too. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and go. Thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate it always. Thank you guys for the donations too, because y'all made 1673, and I appreciate that, and that's awesome. So I will see you guys around some other time. Peace. Bye. And